Curiosity surrounding members of the British royal family is never ending, and the latest member making the headlines is Kate Middleton, the wife of William, the Prince of Wales. Royal watchers, or people who closely watch the royal family's activities, have created a buzz about her whereabouts and disappearance from the public eye over the last 2 months. In fact, a recent announcement from the royal household mentioned that Kate had to undergo an abdominal surgery and is recovering at the family's private cottage in Windsor. This announcement was also made to avoid speculation about whether some events involving the princess would have to be postponed or cancelled. But giving out a generic statement like this only adds to the curiosity, you see. Social media platforms are buzzing with conspiracy theories and a lot of speculation. The belief, including that since the royal family usually does not give out details of health problems, there is something larger and more concerning going on. In fact, a Spanish news channel claims that doctors have put Kate in an induced coma due to post-operative complications. However, a palace source called this claim utter nonsense and denied it completely. In fact, another theory doing the rounds is that since Kate's sister was recently seen on a family trip in the Caribbean, it is unlikely that anything serious has happened to Kate, else Pippa would ideally have been by her sister's side, not soaking up the sun at a beach. And what has also fueled the curiosity is her husband, Prince William's recent absence from the memorial service of King Constantine of Greece, who was known to be quite close to the British royal family and was William's godfather. But Prince William did make up for that by attending the BAFTA Awards, the UK's biggest film awards, of which he is the president, by the way. He attended solo, reaffirming the fact that his wife is recovering from surgery and said she would have attended otherwise as she loves the BAFTAs. And one does wonder why mere absence from the public eye due to a planned surgery would create such enormous speculation. But this is not unique to Princess Kate. Over the years, various members of the royal family have triggered speculation and controversy. In fact, Kate's mother-in-law, the late Princess Diana, was by far the most closely followed royal member till date. No other member of the royal family could have possibly created more speculation than her. Princess Kate, we assume, will take it in her stride. In fact, palace sources saying that she will be back at public events post-Easter. Last week, we told you how the Wuhan virus may have damaged your lungs forever. We told you about the destructive long COVID. Turns out it's more destructive than that. It's not just impacted our lungs, but also our minds. So if you thought COVID-19 is a thing of the past, you are wrong. I hate to say this, but COVID is not gone, not at all. In fact, its impact continues to be felt in multiple ways. Let me tell you what a study has found. The details are scary to say the least, so brace yourselves. Because these are not just words, findings, text on paper. This is what long COVID is doing to you, to your mind, to your brain, to your body. The new study suggesting that long COVID may lead to measurable cognitive decline. Basically, the findings gave us numerical evidence for the issues that plague many people with long COVID, like brain fog, also memory issues, focus problems. Brain fog, basically referring to lack of focus and mental clarity, confusion. So those with long COVID have measurable memory and cognitive deficits. You know what that's equivalent to? A difference of about 6 IQ points. Let me say that again. 6 IQ points. Basically, the findings tell us about the cognitive impairment in long COVID survivors. This is extremely significant. By now, you either already know what long COVID is, or maybe, unfortunately, you are dealing with it yourself. And for those of you who might not be aware, in some cases, those who have been infected with the Wuhan virus can experience long-term effects as a result of the infection. And these are known as long COVID or post-COVID conditions, or even long-haul COVID. So just to put this simply, long-term effects of COVID. Long COVID is used to describe symptoms or conditions that persist or develop after the infection. Let me just tell you more about the study. What did it find? How was it conducted? Cognitive testing of nearly 113,000 people in England was carried out. They completed an online cognitive assessment during the last 5 months of 2022. This online cognitive test, the tests basically were designed to test aspects of brain function, including memory, attention, even reasoning. And those patients with unresolved symptoms that had persisted for more than 12 weeks were found to have a larger deficit equivalent to 6 IQ points. In fact, the 228 participants in the study who spent time in intensive care units scored the equivalent of 9 IQ points lower as compared to people who had not been infected. The study was published in the New England Journal of Medicine. Now, what's the difference of 6 IQ points all about? What does it mean? The result does not mean that having COVID-19 or long COVID resulted in profound deficits in thinking and function. Just for context, a score of 85 to 115 means average intelligence. Around 15 points is the standard variation. So 6 points basically might not be significant or sound crucial enough, but these findings are still extremely important. In fact, according to a psychiatrist and researcher quoted by The Guardian, even if the cognitive deficits after COVID-19 are of small magnitude on average, a substantial minority of people have more significant deficits which are likely to affect their ability to work and function. And given the scale of the pandemic and the number of people impacted, this is particularly worrisome. But it's not all scary and gloomy. There is hope. A positive signal, in fact, was that brain fog and other long COVID cognitive problems do not have to be permanent. Those who had longer lasting symptoms that had resolved showed comparable deficits to those who had experienced mild, short duration illness. And what this study also suggests is that if people's long COVID symptoms reduce, so will the related cognitive impairment. Basically, those who witnessed long COVID symptoms for months and then ultimately recovered had cognitive scores similar to those who had a quick recovery. Millennials, or the avocado generation called by their elders, are making headlines once again. The generation which is portrayed as a generation without hope. Their future looks brighter than you thought. Knight Frank reports predict millennials will become the wealthiest generation ever, inheriting massive wealth from older generations over the next 2 decades. You got that right. In fact, this huge transfer will occur as wealth is passed after death from the last of the property equity rich generations, the silent generation born from 1925 to 1945, the baby boomers born from 1946 to 1964, and the oldest cohort of Generation X born from 1965 to 1979, who between them have more than 2.5 trillion pounds tied up in their homes. Millennials, who are defined as being born roughly between 1980 and 1994, from being the have-nots, maybe will be called the richest generation in history, known for their environmental focus. They are expected to invest in greener homes, in fact, prioritizing sustainable goods and making eco-conscious financial choices. And this shift in priority is presenting significant opportunities for businesses catering to these preferences. The Knight Frank report also highlighting the growing influence of the Bank of Mum and Dad, as it's called, with a record 61% of first-time buyers last year receiving financial help from their parents. According to new figures from Savills report, the number was up from 46%, and that too an all-time record. And this works out as a total of 173,000 buyers funded in part by their living parents in 2023, who gained a combined total of 10.6 billion pounds in help up from 8.9 billion in 2022. And this trend underscoring the challenges young adults face in affording homes, particularly in expensive areas where property prices remain 10 times higher than the average income. And just looking beyond millennials, some reports analyze trends in global wealth distribution. It reveals that prime property markets in developing countries are experiencing the fastest price growth. Manila at 26.3% and the Bahamas 15%, leading the way. While prices in London's most expensive market fell 2.1%, Edinburgh dipped by 3.2% and Oxford 8.4%, in part because of the mortgage crisis, leading to a correction in the previously expensive real estate prices. The number of ultra-high net worth individuals globally increased by 4.2%, with the US experiencing the most significant growth of 7.9% due to a strong economy and a booming tech sector. The UK, on the other hand, witnessed a modest 3.1% increase, potentially impacted by tax policies and political uncertainty. And finally, the Knight Frank report identifying art as the most lucrative investment class, with prices rising 11% in 2023, while other luxury assets like jewelry and watches also saw positive growth. The overall luxury goods index fell by 1%, with classic cars and whiskey experiencing notable price drops. So is the millennials' future bright, is the question.